Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. All right, I'm sitting down with Team Atlas today, including James Ayotte, Angeline, Jeanson, and of course, Jennifer Dorie. So excited for you guys to hear this episode. I'm actually recording this introduction separate from when we started recording because we wanted to get the most out of the time that we had. And James started coaching in 2016. He's made 21 IFBB pros in the past 2 years. He currently has 2 of the top 5 bikini Olympians. And in 2020 alone, Team Atlas has 4 bikini Olympians stepping on stage. And then, of course, this is coupled by the work of Angeline Jeanson, who is known as their posing coach. She does everything from head to toe to make sure the girls are bringing their best on stage. She herself is an IFBB bikini pro and a mechanical engineer. So these people are on top of their game. They're really busy. And of course, I'm going to be bringing Angeline back on for her own episode because her story is so inspiring it will be interesting for you guys to hear in a future episode. And I'll save it to share with you then because it really deserves its own introduction. And then of course, Jennifer Dorie, who we've had on many times. She's going for the Olympia again this year. And I think it'll be really awesome for you guys to hear everything that they have to say in this episode of the Coaches series. All right, so we're going to start off by getting into your coaching philosophy. This is what I love to ask every coach when they come on for the Coaches series. And James, I know you have mentioned, and lots of your athletes would describe your coaching as detailed. And this has been seen consistently across the board. So can you give us some insight into what kinds of details you guys focus on that you think sets Team Atlas apart from other teams or coaches?
So basically, on Team Atlas, we cover everything from A to Z. So we cover from like suit selection to posing, which is what Angeline does. Even like we choose the earrings for the athletes, the bracelets, everything like that. All the small details. And our most important thing that's helped my team grow so much is the quality of the athletes that we produce. Like all of my amateurs even look excellent. That's because we take so much time for each individual athlete so that they feel like they're getting a full individual service and just a number on our team.
I love that. And actually, when I mentioned to people that I was going to be interviewing you guys, one of the main questions that came up, which is inspired by interviewing you guys that I'm asking everyone, is how you manage your focus or prioritize your time and energy when you do have so many top performing pros and amateurs.
It's actually very simple. So I have a lot of tasks that I delegate to Jen and Angeline. The tasks that I don't have time to do myself. So like Jen will do like customer inquiries. She helps me on the lifestyle. She does the invoicing, stuff like that where I don't have time to do, where I can focus 100% on the client's diets and giving them attention. And Jen also chimes in on the clients, and she gives like her feedback as well. So they have like a perspective of like a top Olympian athlete, and then me as a coach, and then Angeline for the posing. So it's all about organization. Me, Angeline, and Jen are very organized entrepreneurs. Why our trio is so strong because we align so well and we're so organized in every aspect. And then I think that is definitely the biggest factor in being able to run a huge team like this and have good quality at the same time. Because if we were all over the place and we didn't know what was going on, like it would be a disaster. So, but make sure every single check-in is done every single day. We never leave any check-in for like the next day. Every diet update is done exactly the same day as the check-in. I never leave, so everything is just done. We don't postpone anything. We don't say, okay, every check-in's on Monday. Every client checks in on their individual day, usually every week, or if they're close to the show, it could be every day. But we never like, what's the word I'm looking for? Procrastinate. So basically everything on the spot and that's it. And then we move on.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And Jen, can you expand on that a little bit? Because I've seen like James post about you and how like you're always working, you're always on top of it with the clients. Does that ever take a physical or emotional toll on you? Or like, how do you stay on top of it and feel good about the demands that you are asked of or that you're attending to and committed to?
For me, it's kind of like, I think all of us are kind of the same way in that we're kind of workaholics. We just like to work a lot. We thrive off of the structure and constantly being busy, constantly doing something, just feeling productive. So I just have a to-do list every day of certain things that I need to get done. And first thing when I wake up, I get to it, I get started. I can do work while I'm doing my cardio, so I can knock two things out at once. And then honestly, I just really enjoy what I do. So we get to work with so many different individuals, and most of the girls I am friends with. So it's kind of a friendship basis as well, but I do enjoy it. So I wouldn't say, it definitely doesn't take an emotional toll on me, but it does get busy at times, but I know how to handle it just because we have such a good setup and structure that our business plan is modeled out so easily for all of us to stay on top of everything that, like James said, we don't procrastinate. We don't put anything off until I'll do it tonight or I'll do it tomorrow. Anytime something comes in, I just do it right away. So it's knocked off, because when you have so many clients, if you leave everything until later, then all of a sudden it piles up and you have 200 check-ins to do, which is, it seems like there's never ending check-ins. If you do them as they go and as they come, it's a lot more manageable to get done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Angeline, I know like James was discussing how you guys focus on all the details, suit, jewelry, hair, makeup, everything. I've also interviewed lots of your athletes, like you guys said, and every single one of them has discussed, this drill sergeant approach to posing, which I think is so awesome. And I've watched all your stories. I've learned so much just from watching you guys. And obviously doesn't compare to getting the real thing. And I'd love to ask you like what you think are the most important things athletes need to focus on in every posing session they do, and then how you're able to prioritize your time to help them do that.
So the way I work is I used to coach dance. So I coach posing like I was coaching dance. It's all about details and steps. The way I work is we always work with the technique first, and after had the personality and everything. But like it's really, really, really detailed. Like example, Jen's routine for this year Olympia, when she's going to move her hair, where she's going to look, how she smiles, everything is calculated, everything is planned. So when she will arrive on stage, everything will be executed perfectly. But I do that with all the athletes, with all the levels. So even for amateur, when we create a routine, everything is planned. The thing that people don't realize is how important is posing. You can have the best physique, you can do your diet, you can do all your cardio, but if you can't showcase your physique, you can lose it with 1 point, or you can be like not even in the top 5 if you cannot present. The other thing that I do is I choose everything: hair, makeup, suit, jewelry. I do choose even the connector, the stone pattern, and everything for the athletes. So we don't let like the athletes have the wrong suit cut for themselves, the wrong color. So we make sure that they showcase as a pro, even if they are amateur, and that our pro are the best.
I love that. I feel like that's especially important for amateurs because there's so many questions going into it. Like, how do I know what to order? What do I get?
It's
What's
very
going to look
complicated.
best?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's very complicated. And like, especially, I want to go in a little bit further with that. Especially the suits, like so many. Like, it's so complicated to get the perfect suit and the perfect cut and everything too. And even pros don't understand this. Like we were just commenting today. A pro had a very like weak suit cut, and it just like it's so either it could elongate the torso, or it could make your shoulders look less wide, or your breasts don't fit properly, and it just throws off the whole look. And the suit is very important. So instead of leaving up to the beginner athlete to choose a suit when they have no idea what they're doing, or it's their favorite color, or if their favorite color is like an ugly yellow or something, like it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? So we're able to help them with that and actually tell them, you know what, this is the best cut, this is the best suit for you, and this is going to be the best on your physique, because they don't know any better. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I know like not only with the suit, but you also mentioned too, Angeline, like the posing routine, just everything is planned from the hand movements to the hair movements to the eye movements. And I think that that can really set apart athletes on stage. And that's, I think, what has set apart many of the Atlas pros and amateurs as well. But I would love to hear from each of you. what you think is the difference between a good athlete and then a phenomenal winning champion athlete.
Who would you like to start?
I was just
How
gonna
about,
say, who wants
how
to
about
start?
you, James?
Okay, sure. So, how about we start with a bad athlete? Because you didn't even mention that, but I think that's good for the, the trio. So we'll start with a bad athlete. A bad athlete is one that doesn't have great genetics initially. But you know what? You can work with a bad, not great genetic athlete if they follow, if they're able to check in on time and follow everything perfectly. But the worst thing is when you have someone who doesn't have great genetics, doesn't check in, doesn't follow their diet, doesn't listen, wants to do their own thing. Like the whole, everything is off at the bottom. That's the worst possible scenario.
Mm-hmm.
A good athlete would be someone with, moderate genetics. We could turn decent genetics pro. Like, even if they're not like amazing, we made so many bikini pros now. You don't need to be like a freak to turn pro with us. Definitely not. So as long as you check in, you follow everything flawlessly. You book your posing classes as necessary as we see fit, like based on your requirements for where you are as far as posing expertise. You check in weekly or whenever I ask you to, and you correct changes too. Like I have, for example, let's say in a check-in, right? The client does an error in a transition, or their chest is not up, or something's off with their posing, and I tell them, hey, we got to fix this, and the next day they do the same thing, and next day they do the same thing. It's like, can you just please apply the corrections to what you're doing? And a great athlete will do it right away, or they even send a picture right after I fix it, be like, here's a change, it's fixed, and then I'll have to talk about it again. But maybe a good or not a great athlete will keep making the same errors over and over again because they don't care as much. A great athlete cares as much as us. We care so much that it's like we literally care more than a lot of athletes about their show. Like, it's crazy because we pride ourselves in the quality in our team, and we want to win, and we want the athletes to have the best experience. So we literally, it could be like the most beginner athlete with the worst genetics ever. We care so much about them succeeding. And when our vision and their vision, are in sync, and we both care so well, and that's when magic happens. Definitely. So.
All right, Jen.
For me, I agree with James. I think that the biggest thing is being coachable. So myself as an athlete, the same thing goes. Everyone thinks that, they know their body best, but if you know your body so well, then you wouldn't need a coach. And you have to be able to be coachable, be able to take feedback and constructive criticism and apply it with taking your ego aside, because a lot of people, their ego is too strong and they don't want to drop their ego and just take criticism. So when it comes to posing as well, a lot of people think, they like doing this and this is what's best. But in reality, if they just took their ego out of the equation and listened to what Angeline said, myself included, so many times she's been like, no, Jen, you do this, it looks great on you. I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. And she's like, trust me, it'll work, it looks great. And then I do it, and then everyone is like, wow, that looked amazing on stage. So it just comes down to trusting your coaches, trusting the process, and being coachable to know that they're going to get you to where you need to be. Because at the end of the day, we want the best for our athletes, so we wouldn't be trying to make them do something that's not going to make them be their absolute best. And sometimes athletes lose sight of that when they get deep into prep, and they feel like, if their cardio is higher, their carbs are low because their body's not responding. Some people take it like a personal punishment, I guess.
Yeah.
And you have to take your emotions out of it and say, my coaches are just trying to make me be the best that I can. I'm struggling in my prep, and it's not like James is mad at me. That's why he's making me do it. He's doing it because he wants me to be my absolute best, and you have to respect your coaches for that and listen to what they say.
I just want to add on to that because she made very good points. As far as the ego thing, Jen is a top 5 Olympian, and I have some other top athletes, and she listens so flawlessly. Jen will apply every single thing we say without argument, and that's so important. And that's why every single show she improves. Literally every single show, doesn't matter how far apart they are, she gets better. Like, we just did the Tampa Pro, I believe in August, and she's significantly better for this Olympia. And same thing from last year to this year. It's unbelievable. And that's because she just does everything, objectively. She doesn't look at herself and she's like, oh, I know better, I'm the best. Even though she is an amazing athlete and she has so much knowledge, it's always great to be able to, have a second set of eyes looking at you and making sure you're on track. Because even Jen, even though she looks ridiculous and so good, she messaged me sometimes like, James, I feel like I don't feel good.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. She's like, I don't know, how I'm like, Jen, you look ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So if you're coaching yourself And
Yeah.
it's to be objective when you're looking yourself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Because you look flat. Oh yeah, I need more food. I'm flat. Oh, I'm hungry. I need more food. It's very hard to go to bed every night starving and like convince yourself that this is the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As far as the
The
ego thing, oh
accountability
my
helps.
God, it's so funny because all of our like best athletes have no ego. So we have like Olympians come to us, right? And they have no ego. They're just like, sure, okay, sure, I'll listen. Like, I'll give you an example. Natasha and Monica Ellis, okay? Two great Olympians. They listen exactly what we tell them to do. Norman's been to Olympia like 400 times, okay? This girl has never once said, no, I don't want to do that. She says, okay, sure, I'll do all the posing. She listens. And then we shouldn't get step on stage because it got canceled. But she's like, oh, I never looked this good before. And you step on stage, 10 times at the Olympia and you still have no ego. That's an amazing athlete. The worst thing is when you have a beginner that says, I know my body, I like this posing better. I know how to pose. I like, you sure? Like I question us all the time and they're not even like a pro yet. Like, it's just ridiculous. Or like, oh, like I really want to wear this suit color. And I know, and it's just like, dude, like that suit color does not look good on stage. We've coached hundreds of bikini athletes and we know the best for the athletes. So if you drop your ego, your experience is going to be so much better because, we know what's best for you. But if you have like Jennifer Dorie, for example, like she'll mention some days like, hey James, like I'm really exhausted and like I can see in her body, I'm like, yeah, we need to up your food a little bit just for today, like you can have communication, but when your ego and you kind of like fight us all the time, then it's not going to be a great like partnership because it's not like the structure that we have placed in for the athletes to win.
Definitely. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I love the examples you provided. It's so powerful. And I think it'll give people really good
So
contrast as well
important.
as,
Yeah.
yes. So
And
thank you.
well, one other thing, sorry, I'm sorry to
Yeah. No, I love
but
it.
one thing too is Jennifer's answer was much better than mine, so I'm just stealing it. That's why.
That's awesome.
So
Angeline,
yeah,
do you have
yeah. So
anything to add to it?
one second. I'm not done, Celeste. Okay.
Okay. I
Well,
thought you were done.
one other very important thing that Jen said was that the athlete feels like we're attacking them when we're trying to reduce their food. It's so weird sometimes when we have athletes join and they ask for cheat meals or they say, I'm really hungry. It's like, no one's forcing you to prep. No one. There's no one person. I don't know. Maybe your husband's telling you you're chubby, you need to prep. I don't know, but it's definitely not us forcing you to prep. So when you come to us, your goal is to be the best on stage, and that is our job. Our only job is to make sure you're healthy and you look the best on stage. That's it. And you have a good experience. But if you're fighting on us as if we're like forcing you to like diet and stuff too, that's not the name of the game here. We're not forcing you to do anything. So that's all.
Love that. Glad you expanded.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Angeline?
Nothing to add. On my side is really the ego side. Since I choose everything, sometimes an athlete will be like, okay, I'm trying to put them in a box and fit some criteria. But the thing is that over the years, I know exactly what suit color should be and everything. So sometimes I have an athlete who will be like, yeah, I need to wear red and red lipstick. So we try to fight to explain that red lipstick is not nice on stage. You look like a clown. Red suit, you need to have the personality to fit with a red suit. If you're not bubbly, you're not really have a strong personality on stage, don't wear red. And stuff like that is like when athletes have too much big ego and they absolutely, example, want to wear red. At the end of the day, I'm not fighting against them, but that would not be the best. I have athletes that I've put in suit that they would never have thought to wear that color, and they were like surprised by it. But the ego thing is really like something that will like limit the athletes.
I want to add one thing to that too. I feel like the reason, maybe it's not the exact reason why there's so many male coaches coaching bikini, because I feel like I don't know really how to say this. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but I feel like the women would generally listen to a man and like listen, and sometimes women have a problem listening to other women and they get an ego. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's like a woman has to listen to another woman sometimes, telling them what to do. They're kind of like have a fight. But if I'm telling them, okay, we got to do this, then so I feel like with Angeline sometimes there's definitely like a little bit like an argument where it's like, you know, you're telling me what color looks best on me. Like I know what color look, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
No, it's awesome that you guys have all these different and complementary perspectives so that you can reinforce like what is best for the athlete. And I love how you said too, your top priority is their health and giving them an incredible experience. Of course, you know, helping them to achieve the goals that they set
The
to
thing is,
achieve.
the thing is with me, Jen and Angeline, we're all very different. We're all very the same, and that's why I compliment each other so well. Like customer service is second to none. Like she's insane. Angie is extremely technical. She's very black and white. She's an engineer. That's her full-time job. She's an engineer at Bombardier. She's very black and white, you know. And she's not emotional at all. So she just like says it how it is. And Jen is, you know, she can cater to the athlete, be more emotional, better customer service. So but we're all very organized and very detail oriented. So that's where we come together. So I think our trio is very dominant because of that. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So can you expand on how you, one, how you determine how far to push an athlete, and then two, how you make their health a priority in that process?
So I'm gonna be realistic right off the bat. Bikini or prep in general is not really a healthy thing. So if you're just focused on health in general, you should do basically, you know, diet. You shouldn't really be hungry all the time. If you want to lose weight, you should be hungry. But as far as like actually getting on stage and stuff too, and getting like a low body fat percentage, a lot of times you're gonna have to be very hungry. Unless your metabolism is insane, then you can eat a lot of food. But that's maybe for 5 to 10% of girls, and the rest, you know, you have to be hungry. It's not really healthy to do 2 hours of cardio a day and, you know, train that much. In life, you want like a general kind of like a moderation type of thing. So, but bikini is a very extreme, you know, or even bodybuilding in general, it's a very extreme sport. Like you gotta sacrifice a lot and you gotta give up a lot to get on stage. So, as far as like it being like very healthy, it's really not, you know, if you're trying to be healthy and you want to lose weight and get on stage, that's a different thing. But if you're trying to do a bunch of shows back to back and stuff too, it's generally not like a very, you know, health focused type thing. But as far as that, I know there's a lot of, you know, coaches that generally would use like a lot of supplementation and stuff like that too. That's not necessary, and we definitely never do that. So yeah, we want the athlete to look the best they possible can without hurting their health, which is very important. Like I'll never do anything extreme to get them on stage or anything like that. Like that's ridiculous. That's not worth it, you know?
We would
Yeah.
just choose a later show.
What actually
exactly.
would be considered like too extreme for you guys?
So, let me give you an example. So let's say like an athlete comes to us and she looks like 14 weeks out and she's like, I want to do a show in 6 weeks. I'm like, dude, like I'm going to have to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
We
I'm
would just say no. Yeah.
so much and you're going to be mentally broken down, and why not just do a later show? Like it's not worth it, you know? Like we've done it sometimes. We actually made pros in like 3 to 6 week preps, but I had to like kill them so hard. And it's just like I tell them initially, like, this is a bad idea, but if you want to do it and eat, you know, ice cubes and freaking air, then I mean,
There's
you
a
can do it.
disclaimer before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a fun experience for you. And they're like, okay, I want to do it. I'm like, okay, I guess your choice, you know. But I always suggest that I hate short preps, even 12-week preps. It's not I like, because we have to learn posing. We got to learn them as a person. We got to like adjust our bodies. These 12-week preps, I prefer like having a proper off season and then doing a prep with the athlete.
Yeah.
So it was 3 weeks out or 6 weeks out. We're like, fuck, man, you know, like we'll do it if you want to, but you know, that's not the ideal situation. So we leave it up to them basically at that point.
Awesome. Jen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just same as what James was saying. So sometimes clients have unrealistic expectations to say, you know, they have a lot to lose and they're like, oh, I want to do a show in 10 weeks because it's going to motivate me to lose the weight faster. So we just say to them, realistically, it's not going to happen in 10 weeks. You won't be stage lean, one. Your body's going to look stressed out and tired because you have to crash diet. And it's really not going to be healthy. You're going to set yourself up for a disaster after the show. So we would recommend that you choose a later show. And usually before even signing up an athlete, if they're inquiring and they say, you know, this is a show date that I want to do, then I would just say, like, are you open to doing a later show if we feel you're not ready? Just to see if the athlete is open to doing a later show, because some people are very stuck on a certain show. And if we feel that, you know, sorry, we don't think it's going to be healthy, or we don't think that you're going to make it to the show at your best, then we would just say, no, sorry, we're not going to take you on for that show, because they don't want to postpone the show. And if it's one of those situations where it's just absolutely unrealistic, then we always tell the athlete, it's much better to choose a later show and come in at 100% than to try and rush the show and come in at 80% of your best, because you're not going to have your best showing, and the prep is going to be miserable if you're rushing it.
And also to add on that, the rebound too. Like, let's say like you crash for 6 weeks and you starve yourself. Like, it's a lot harder to reverse diet after that. You know what I'm saying? If you have like a moderate prep where you can like slowly taper down and slowly taper back up, that's better. But if you're already like overweight and you want to like do like a very short prep, you're just setting yourself up for disaster, and it's just not. And it's our on that too. You know what I'm saying? We want the athletes to look great on stage. We want them to have a good experience. And when you're rushing the whole process, trying to get like posting classes in last minute, and then like, oh man, it's like we actually succeed a lot at these preps, but it's just very not ideal, or for the athlete or us in general. So definitely they should step on stage when they're ready.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to rush things all the time, because bodybuilding is a marathon. People don't understand this. It takes time. Everyone's, oh yeah, I want to do this show. Why not? There's a zillion shows. We can pick a later show. You're not gonna, the stage is tomorrow, And instead of coming in at 80%, why not come in at 100% and postpone for another 2 months?
Exactly. Like, why rush a process if you're really committed to doing well in
Exactly.
it? Don't rush it. Like, bring your best. So, okay, this one, I love that you were like, okay, maybe a little bit like controversial with the previous statement, but I want to ask you something that I think I know you've addressed it on your story before, but what do you have to say to the people who say politics with teams plays a role in their clients' placing, or that all of this is just political?
You're asking me that question?
Yes.
I think it's pretty ridiculous.
It's a cop-out, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a cop-out. Like, they say, oh, they want, it's so dumb. Like, the judges are so good in IFBB, and we're actually really lucky to have this. Even like, I'm like really good friends with one of the head judges. Like, he's literally one of my best friends. He's literally in 3 years only made one of my athletes pro at the shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a statement of like, I love that, because they don't give you free wins. You have to earn it in the IFBB, and that's why the IFBB is so good. There's a lot of other federations where it's like the WBFF and stuff like that, where it's so like, it's so political and it's so obvious of what they do that it's just like a turnoff, But the judges are so unbiased, and they just want the best athlete to win. You know what I'm saying? And that is what motivates, all the athletes and the coaches, because they know you got to be the best to win, and it doesn't matter on how
it's a fair game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just for example, like at the Olympia this year, right? People would say, oh, this politics, Issa's going to win because she won last year. No, like, we're going in 100% because we know the judges, they don't care what you post on social media. They don't care about, they're going to look at the athletes on the best person on the stage on that day, and they're going to choose who wins. That is amazing for the athletes and everyone. So
yeah, I think people also have to remember that it's not just one single judge. They have a panel of judges for that reason. So they drop like the high and low scores, and they even everything out. That's why there's an odd number of judges, because usually there's 5 or 7 judges. So that way they can drop the scores and even it out. So even if one judge, for some odd reason, which never happens in our federation, was biased, the other judges would balance it out. So it wouldn't actually affect
it wouldn't even make a difference at all.
Exactly. So it's, to be honest, it's just kind of seems like a cop-out when people use that excuse, because usually it happens when someone doesn't do well at their show and they think that they look the best, and they say, oh, it's political. But if you actually look at the structure of our sport and the way that they judge, it's set up so there's no bias there, and there's no political bias.
And honestly, sometimes I'll look at like a live stream of pictures online or whatever, like on Instagram, and like, why did that girl win? I'm like, I don't get it. And then I'll look online at the stage pictures, like the NPC News Online photos. I'm like, it makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? Because like in person is different than online.
So different. Yeah.
But the pictures are so good on the NPC site. When you like look at them in comparison, like, okay, I see what the judge saw.
Yes. And I'm sure, Angeline, you've probably been like, okay, well, this girl's posing was way better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I always do that.
Yeah.
And
literally every day.
Every day I complain about people posing. No, but to be honest, sometimes you have an athlete with an amazing physique that she thinks that she's really good, but the girl can't walk, the suit is not flattering, the haircut is not good, the makeup is not good, and people don't understand that the overall look have a huge impact on if the judge will choose you. At the end of the day, the argument, and you need to be like perfect 100% so they choose you. If you like don't pose properly, or you can't walk, walk. Like that, this is the worst thing I've seen on stage. Like people can walk with heels. And even if you have the best physique, if you cannot walk on stage, you won't win. So that's the difference with people thinking that they should win, but they don't win because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, exactly. So just to add on that 1 second, like some athletes will be like, look, this girl's like not as lean as me, or my glutes are better. But they don't understand that bikini, 50% of the battle is your presentation and your posing, right? So like, it's not just it's just not your body, it's everything else that goes with it. For example, like my client, Natasha, the black girl with the very short hair, she comes out of Atlanta. Short hair is not a normal thing for a bikini. She comes out, her posing is so stunning. She stands out so much. The judges are like, holy crap, who is this girl? You know what I'm saying? Like she just with her posing alone and her confidence. It doesn't even matter about her physique. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I remember Angeline one time said, like, and actually you all have said it, like if you're gonna rock different hair than everybody else, or you're gonna have something that sets you apart, like everything else has to be perfection.
Yeah. Like if you want to put on a yellow suit, where I've seen some pros do it, like you better bring the heat, because if you're just like casual, normal, I'm saying, and nothing special, and you have like a yellow suit on, like it's not going to work for you, you know? Like you're trying to stand out and be different, but at the end, you're not even standing out or being different at all. So it's just like, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why Jen is wearing her curls now.
I know. Ever since JN told her, do it,
Yeah.
do it. And it's amazing. I love it. Okay, so Angeline, I'm going to point this question to you. It's our first of the hypothetical round. So someone's physique is on point and they've been nailing everything in their plan. And you did kind of just expand on this, but let's say their posing is lacking and they haven't been practicing and you've been giving them all the feedback. Do you guys still put them on stage?
Yes, but I'm really straightforward. Okay, Jim has said it. I'm really black or white. So when an athlete don't pose properly, I'll tell the athlete, like, your physique is great to win, but you won't win because you can't pose. Usually, most of the athletes, 99% of them, book their classes and are ready. There's just like quite a few athletes that really don't put pressure on that. But usually when I tell, or James or Jen say, like, you need to step up your game on posing, usually they do it. But yeah, at the end of the day, if the athletes don't want to put priority on posing, I'm not like going to break her leg to like make sure that she poses. It's like, it's her show too. Like I don't go on stage. Like you decide to go on stage, you don't pose properly, that's your thing. But I'm super straightforward, so all the athletes know exactly what I think about their posing.
Awesome. Okay. And then James, if someone comes to you wanting to compete or they're considering competing, what is something you want them to know before they actually commit to it?
Know that our priority isn't, we love our job. Like we're very passionate on our job and we want to win. And we want the athletes to have the best experience. So we don't take everyone, no matter, like our whole incentive isn't, a dollar income. Because I don't believe if you're leading by that, then you're going to, you're going to fail. The reason we excel so quickly and so, we're at the top so fast is because of our passion we have for, our business and everything that we do. So, if you're an athlete and you're kind of like, you don't really want to give it all, like there's no point. You could join like an easier team that's cheaper and you can half-ass it, you know what I'm saying? And you're not going to be the best and you're only going to get what you give. So if you're really like committed and you want to do well and you're able to follow instruction and be coachable, then I think that would be the main thing that I would tell an athlete.
Love
Yeah,
that.
if you're not willing to like give everything you have to your prep and be 100%, then Team Atlas probably isn't the team for you, because we expect a lot out of our clients and we have high standards for them in terms of
It's
like
because we give a lot too. We give
exactly
so much.
Yeah, because in return they're going to get the success and the results that they want if they give us 100%, because we're going to give them 110% back. So unless you're willing to actually give us what we ask of you, don't sign up for a team that you can't meet their standards. not even in the sense of like genetics or how they look or anything like that. It's just the work ethic. So in our check-ins, if we ask you to send, send 2 videos, 1 close-up, 1 far, send your posing routine, you have to book posing this amount of time. And if you can't commit your time to that, or you just are lazy and you don't want to commit to it, then probably not the best idea, because you're going to feel like you're not living up to the criteria and the standards that we expect.
And let me add on to that 1 second too. We have never once declined an athlete based on their genetics. We don't care. We'll take anyone from any genetics, but the coachability factor is definitely the most important to us.
Yeah,
and,
the mindset and work
and
ethic.
like we have sometimes like some athletes where they're like, oh, with all my work, I'm not able to get like this amount of cardio in, or I can't train. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like you have to be able to I understand work is a priority, but you should understand that, prepping for a show gives you have a lot of, sacrifices that you have to make. And there's no excuse that you should be able to make where, oh, I didn't have time to send check-ins in the morning, or, I can only do half my cardio because I have to work. Like we have surgeons on our team. Like they figure it out. You can probably figure it out too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I think that's a really great point, and great way to set expectations going into it, and probably prioritize what kinds of people come onto your team. And that leads me to kind of what you had brought up at the very beginning around like Jen was saying, oh, I don't look how I want to. So let's say an athlete's 4 weeks out from a show and they keep saying that they don't feel ready, but you believe that they are. What would each of your responses be to that athlete?
Sorry, yes. Question?
Yeah. So like if someone says they don't feel like they're ready and you're like, you're definitely ready, what is your response to that athlete?
Stop looking at yourself in the mirror.
That's what I always say to them. Especially
I just talked to one of my clients today, Maria. She's a pain in my ass. I love her, but every day she's like, I look terrible. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm literally gonna kill you. Like just send your check-ins and don't put your clothes on. You don't gotta even look at yourself. It doesn't matter. If I tell you look good, you look good. That's the bottom line. Like even for Jen, she's like, hey, I'm like, we literally talked about this yesterday. I'm like, Jen, am I increasing your cardio? Am I dropping your food? Like you look. I'm not worried. I'm going to see Jen today, and actually tomorrow. Actually, we're going to. And I'm like, dude, like you look excellent. Stop worrying. If I'm worried, then the athlete should be worried. Definitely. If I'm not worried and we're cruising, we're good to go. So.
And James is very straightforward. That if you're not ready, he's going to tell you what the hell, like what's going on. You don't look good. You don't look ready. Like he's very straightforward like that. Even yesterday, I was like, I don't think I look good. I don't think I'm going to do well. I'm so upset, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, Jen, if I'm not worried, you shouldn't be worried. Like, if I was worried, believe me, you would know. And I'm like, okay, you're right. That's true. Like, if you think I look good, then you have high standards. I'm fine. So same thing goes with most of our clients. Usually, we give them feedback. And especially at 4 weeks out, they're checking in pretty frequently. That some of them are almost every day at that point, that they're getting constant feedback of how they look. That even if they might have a day where they feel off, for me, I can relate to them because I go through the same prep struggles myself. And sometimes you have a bit of a dysmorphia in terms of how you actually look. And we just say, trust the process, just ignore what you're thinking. I just tell people, take it one day at a time. Don't even think about it. Just do the work and don't stress or look into the future. Just every day, do what you have to do and leave the rest up to the coaches, because it's not your job to stress over. That's our job to make sure you come in properly.
Exactly.
Amazing. Angeline, do you have anything to add to that?
No, we're pretty straightforward. So I don't think that an athlete can really doubt about if we think that they are ready or not. I think that we are really direct to our clients. So if they doubt, it's really in their head, but it happens to every athlete. And we just make sure that they are reassured. And if they are not ready, we will tell them. And sometimes we tell an athlete, please pick a show later because you won't be ready in 4 weeks out. It will be better. So athletes know we won't bring an athlete that is not ready on stage.
Awesome.
Yeah, but the thing is that I did with Angeline too. If an athlete is if they're not ready and they think they're ready and we're like, dude, you're not ready, and they want to step on stage, we won't say no. You know what I'm saying? We'll guide you to the end and we'll bring you on stage, even if you're not going to be, where you should be, which is very rare, to be honest. Because going back to question one of my philosophies is getting an athlete ready ahead of time. I don't like them being ready 2 days out and then trying to peak them. This is ridiculous. I like to get them ready 2 to 4 weeks out and then cruise into the show so their body looks, less tired and they're able to just, glide in on higher food and lower cardio. I prefer that method a lot. And that leaves a lot less room for error too going to the show. Because if you're like 1 week out and you need to lose like 3 more pounds, like you got to increase cardio in the last week and drop your food, like you're just not in a good position to win. You know what I'm saying? Your body's going to look tired. So with my philosophy of getting an athlete ahead of time, if they're still behind, that means either they're cheating on their diet or, you know, something is off, which happens, you know, not too often. But if you're like, listen, like I'm really set on the show, I really want to do it, my family's coming, blah, 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 we'll be like, yeah, sure. We'll guide them to the end no matter what. You know, we're not going to be like, okay, you're on your own. You're representing Team Atlas. That's not how we work. Like we'll bring you on stage if you did, you know, the preparation, even if you're not ready, which happens rare, but yeah, we won't just abandon the poor little athlete. So.
Or usually you'll ask like, what's your goal for the show? And if they say my goal is to win, or I want to win my pro card, we say, okay, realistically, that's not going to happen with where you are right now. So let's game plan and make a new game plan for a new show. And if they say, I just want to step on stage and be at my best, then, or I just want to step on stage as an accomplishment, then that's kind of a different goal that we'd be like, okay, then we can just still do the show.
We never blow smoke up athletes.
Yeah.
We never blow smoke up athletes' ass. So if they're like, we want to turn pro, like, yeah, you got this. And they're like, let's say like a client has like very, 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 very bad genetics, like a huge waist, like small clavicle, like just short legs, everything. They're like, I want to turn pro in the next 6 months. And like, they're willing to pay us like the amount of money. We're not going to be like, yeah, sure, we'll take your money. We'll turn you pro, which is like what 95% of coaches will do, you know, just to get them the money and be like, and then bring them on stage and they don't even come close to even, you know, coming in the second call out. Like we'll never do that. We're always like, we want the athlete to have realistic goals with you know, what they're willing to give and their genetic, you know,
potential.
So yeah, we want, like, if the athlete's like, I want to turn pro and they look like they're 8 weeks out or 2 weeks out, we're like, listen, like, it's not going to happen here, this show. So if that's your goal, you should definitely postpone. So.
Definitely. I like that. It's like an individual approach to their goals, but still with consideration for what they need. Okay. So then here's a question that I know we kind of touched a little bit on in the beginning, which is like, if someone ends up, you know, saying, I'm going to do this regardless, let's crash diet, let's go for it. And then you mentioned, well, that can increase the probability of a rebound post show. So if someone did rebound, let's say they come to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I totally just screwed it up, I rebounded. What's your approach from a nutrition and training perspective?
You're asking me the question, I assume?
Yes.
Are you talking about like if the client comes to us or they've already like you're saying from another team, or they just already rebounded and stuff too?
They're your client, maybe they ghosted you for a bit and then they're like, oh my gosh, I've been embarrassed, I rebounded, I want to reverse it and get back to normal. Like, what's your first step?
So, I mean, the first thing is they need a structured diet, like definitely. So, I mean, there's so many clients that ghost us because we're pretty annoying, to be honest.
We annoy them. We're like, hey, where's your check-in? Hey, what's going on? Your 2 days
even if we have 300 athletes, we're still on their ass. Or like, that's why clients are like, what the fuck? Like, how do you have so many? I got this message yesterday, like, or 2 days ago. How do you have so many clients? You're still so annoying. You know what I'm saying? Because like, we want you guys to do well. We're not just here to take your money. That's not our goal. You know. So if a client, like, for some reason they ignore us for like 3-4 weeks and they gain like 40 pounds, I mean, you're pretty screwed at that point. There's not like start, but like the way this works basically is when you're dieting down for a show, your metabolism slows down. It gets slower. It doesn't get faster. So if you add on a ton of weight right after the show, you're still working with your very slow metabolism at a much higher weight now. So now if you want to lose that extra weight down with working with your slow metabolism, it's so much harder. That's why you want to slowly build it up after the show. It's not like you can't have a cheat meal after the show. And, I'll generally increase. I don't like the approach of increasing by 100 calories a week. I don't believe that. I prefer, like, let's say they have like very low calories. Let's say they have like 1,000 calorie like diet by the end of the show, which happens sometimes. And they're gonna, they want to reverse diet, which every athlete should do. I'm going to reduce their cardio by half right away. So if they're doing an hour and a half cardio, they're going to do 45 minutes cardio. There's no reason to have all that cardio in, but they need to keep their cardio up and they're training every day. If you just stop doing cardio training and you eat like shit, you're going to balloon. It doesn't matter if you're natural or non-natural. It's funny. The only clients that have ever really gained a ton of weight were my natural clients. So I feel like some people are like, oh, some of these girls take so much stuff. I guess that could happen depending on, what you would take or whatever. But for us, we've never had any client that ballooned up after the show that wasn't like a natural athlete. So it definitely depends on the person's mindset. And reverse dieting is harder than prep. Like it actually is, because you're done your show, your goal is accomplished. Now you want to eat all the food, right? Because you just suffered for such a long period of time. So it's like now, oh fuck, I got to diet another 8 weeks. You know, it's like it sucks. But so what I'll do is I generally reduce cardio by half, and then let's say they're having 1,000 calories on their diet, I'll generally increase it to like 1,400, 1,500, which so they're actually trying to gain a little bit of weight, right? I don't want them to keep being depleted. There's no benefit to that. So I'll put like fruits back in their diet, you know, definitely carbs and fats to try to rebalance their hormones and stuff like that too. But yeah, the reverse part is definitely extremely important to accomplish prep, especially for sustainability. And that's why we said we don't like these crash diets, because if you do a proper structured prep and you don't have to kill yourself, and then reversing is going to be a lot easier. If you have to crash diet and you kill your metabolism and you got to reverse diet out of that, it's like you dig a huge hole and then you try to like get out, and it's just a much harder situation. You don't want to put yourself into that. So
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you breaking down like your thought process on that and like your approach to it as well. I think it gives people really great insight into what to expect from you guys as coaches and with your philosophy. I have one more hypothetical question and then we'll move into the rapid fire. So this hypothetical is, if I am an athlete who's 1 year into competing, I'm doing really well, I have a few overall wins under my belt, and I want to go pro, but I've never stepped on the national stage. And I've been working with the same coach for that full year, but I wanted a new approach. Why would I hire you guys?
you know what?
You want to turn pro.
No, this goes back to my thing where where our goal is not just to like make an income. Why would you be on our team? You just did a few overall wins with a coach, right? And you're doing well. Why would you switch team? That's a rude athlete. I don't want a rude athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going well, go on the national stage with your coach, try it out, see if he can make you pro. You know what I'm saying? And then if it doesn't work, then that. I think that's a very rare situation that you're
It's very rare.
yeah, because it's just like, why would you leave your coach if you're doing well?
Usually there would be an issue of some
Yeah.
sort,
Yeah.
like that the client feels like either like they're not getting enough attention or responsiveness from the coach, or they feel that they need someone to help them reach that next level because their coach's knowledge is limited or whatever. So then the thing is, if they're inquiring to come with us, then they already know why they're asking to come with us. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
if you didn't want to inquire and ask to join our team, you wouldn't even be thinking about leaving your current coach. So usually some clients would be like, oh, you know, like, I don't know if I'm going to leave my current coach. I'm like, well, then why are you inquiring with a new team? If you're happy with where you are and you feel that your coach can bring you in at your best, and there's no need to shop around elsewhere.
See, here's the thing that Jen just brought up that I didn't actually, think of, which actually happens a lot of the time. So let's say an athlete has amazing genetics, right? And we've seen this before. I know a couple Olympians that have amazing genetics and their coaches are very, unexperienced. And an athlete can basically carry them. This is a rare situation, but this is obviously a great situation for a coach that doesn't have a lot of experience. Get one athlete that has like phenomenal genetics and they're like your one-hit wonder, right? And no matter like what you do to them, they're gonna look great, And that's a gold mine for a coach that doesn't have a lot of experience, because it gets their exposure and their name out, a lot easier when you have an athlete, turning pro. And that's why there's so many coaches that turn one athlete pro and then that's it, because the athlete had phenomenal genetics. So if the athlete like notices that, listen, like coach doesn't really know what he's doing. He's like dropping my sodium, and like starving me unnecessarily and trying to make me take all these things. And as far as the sodium, like some coaches like drop sodium like at all, like even like 4 weeks out, like you have no idea what you're doing. So if they like kind of like get a hint where the coach is kind of like just being carried by the athlete, or what Jen said too is like where the athlete has to chase the coach for check-ins and stuff like that. If you have to chase your coach for check-ins and like keep asking them, hey, like, can you check my check-in? Then yeah, definitely, no matter how good you're doing, you definitely should probably, inquire somewhere else, because someone's going to take care of you a lot better than that. So.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you guys expanding on that for sure. And I think too, it's like you said, it's not always just about taking on the next athlete, but also like their work ethic and if they're willing to commit to what you guys are going to demand of them. So let's move on to rapid fire. Basically, I'm going to ask 7 different questions and just answer in 1 sentence or less. And then we'll pick a few that you guys can expand on. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and if you all want to shout out your answers, that's cool. And if there's a discrepancy, which I highly doubt, then we can always, go off of that. But number 1, waist trainers.
Who are you asking? Or
How
All
about
of us.
yes or no for all of you?
Angeline, answer this question. I think that's a good question for you.
Waist trainer, yes and no. It depends of the structure of the body. If you have high hip bone, short torso, you don't wear a waist.
Hey, don't give away all our tips now.
No, but yes,
I'm
for
joking.
It
a
depends on the athlete.
it depends on the athlete, the way the athlete is built. If you had babies, no babies, your hip bone structure, the torso, if it's long. It depends of really, it's based on the athlete, but I won't give that tip.
You're just wanting more. Okay, so if it fits your macros or meal plans.
Meal plan 100%.
Oh,
Okay, fasted
wait.
cardio.
Let me add that.
Okay.
There's very rare situations where if an athlete has a lot of experience and we can trust them to follow, and they know how to count calories properly, and they're gonna exchange, like, let's say chicken for tilapia or something very similar.
Something flexible options, but not like if it fits your macros, where we just give them macros and they just go do their own thing. It would be like
cereal in prep and like sugar and shit like this. Like, dude, that's you don't need this for bodybuilding. You're just trying to cut
use your
corners.
taste buds.
Yeah, it's
You're just trying to do my diet.
Yeah. So let's say we have like a client who's like, I can't eat like me personally, I totally hate seafood and fish. I can't eat it. So I don't ever eat it. I'll tell James, like, hey, this is kind of what the foods that I like to eat and that digest the best. And then we'll create a diet based on that. So same thing with all of our clients when they do initially inquire. We take in all their preferences, any allergies they have, like if they dislike any foods. We're not going to put foods that they dislike on their plan because it just doesn't make sense to force someone to eat something. If someone says sweet potatoes make them bloated, then okay, we can do a different type of carb if you prefer rice. If you like basmati over jasmine rice, it's really not a big issue to change that out. So it's flexible within a meal plan, but we still do control the meal plan variables.
Yeah, like for example, we have a client that lives in Bali, and she could only have, like, she eats chicken and she only eats like mahi and some other stuff too, like some other types of
Fish, yeah.
specific. Yeah. So
She's allergic to eggs and egg whites.
yeah, she's allergic to eggs. We're not like, you're eating eggs and egg whites, too bad. Like, it's not how it works. Like, make them a diet based on what they need, but we like to have control over what they're eating because a lot of times people can count calories a little bit differently. So
there's a lot more room for error with if fit your macros.
Exactly.
Like the nutrition. If you start eating processed foods, nutrition labels, they can be off by a certain amount with the FDA. So the actual calorie intake that you're taking in isn't always the same as if you're just eating whole unprocessed foods, that there's no variance to be off by. So it's easier if you're just eating based off of a meal plan. It takes the thinking out of it for the client too, and it's just easier to follow. Less options.
Definitely. Actually, I know we're running low on time, but I did want to ask too, like, do you take a similar approach with exercise and workout plans, like choose from this list, or do you guys go into like a full-on training plan?
We have two options. So we do have most of our base package that most clients sign up with. We do provide them like a training split saying, okay, on this day, you're going to work these muscles. Here's how many exercises per muscle, how many sets, etc. And then there's a list, like a library of full body pictures and exercises per muscle group that they can plug in themselves, which most of our athletes prefer because it gives them the freedom to choose exercises that they feel works the best with their biomechanics, their body, and what they have available at their gym, versus telling them like, you have to do this, where someone might not feel, they might not feel their glutes doing a certain type of squat, but they feel better doing like a single leg press, for instance. So they can choose certain exercises that they feel the best mind muscle activation with. Or if clients do want, there is an option to add on specific training where the training program is created exactly catered towards them with all the exercises selection chosen for them.
And let me add on to that too. So initially with our startup, what we make clients do is we make them send us a video of themselves in the gym doing one set of every exercise that they're doing, let's say for upper body and lower body. And we have, because a lot of beginners don't know proper form. They don't know, the proper
intensity,
pushing themselves. So we actually make them send videos of them in the gym because obviously we're online coaches. And we assess like, hey, like, don't do this exercise, do this way. Like Jen reviews all of this too. And as far as like glute training too, if clients are say like lacking on their, abductors, or they need like more outer upper glutes, we'll tell them exactly what exercise to do and what to focus on more. So it's not just like a general overall.
Yeah, so we'll give them specifics like, you need to focus on round your glutes. So here's a list of exercises that you should add into your plan, or
Yeah,
like
or like
certain
if their
things that they're
quads
lacking
are,
in.
yeah,
Yeah,
if their quads are too dominant, we're like, hey, don't do anything where
don't
you
do these. Yeah.
all and make sure you isolate everything. So,
Awesome. Okay. So next one is, do you guys believe in fasted cardio?
I love fasted cardio, to be honest. I think it's just not even from a fat loss standpoint, because I really think as long as you get it done, it doesn't really matter that much. But just for most people, you're likely more efficient in the morning, because for me personally, you feel more productive when you wake up and you knock it out. And you're less likely to skip it if you get it done first thing in the morning, because if you're someone who works like a 9 to 5, or you work all day and you train after work, you're most likely going to be tired by the time you get to the gym after work. You finish your training session, it's an hour. The last thing you want to do is do all your cardio then, because in your head, you're like, oh, I'm hungry, I want to go home, I'll do it later. So if you knock it out first thing in the morning, it's done, it's over with. And then you're awake, you're productive during your day. You don't have to worry about doing it later on.
Awesome.
Really,
Okay.
like, whenever they can get it done.
And how about water cutting?
Never, no.
well,
Well,
not never, Jen.
not never, but like the
Very
majority of
rare,
the time, no.
very rare.
Yeah.
Because if a client is ready ahead of time, they generally don't need to cut water. So I would say like on show day, yes, because you don't want to be peeing all the time and you don't want to have your abs bloated. So
Yeah.
reduce your water either the half or very minimal. But the day before, like cutting water the day before, like
Or like the week before, like some people do, is just crazy. We don't do it.
yeah, no, like no, but like even like we don't even really like taper up or taper down generally. Like if we it my philosophy, going back to question one again, I like that question. Good now. So I like having and actually this ties into everything. We like having control of the situation, which is what we've been talking about this entire.
Mhm.
So if you're cutting water and you're dropping sodium and you're doing diuretics and all this shit, you're leaving a lot of variables, open up for not having control of the situation. If you know exactly how much water you're taking in, exactly what food you have, exactly how much sodium you have, your meal timing, everything, you can predict the future. The worst thing is when you're doing all these last things on peak week, and you don't know what's going to happen. You're kind of just rolling a dice at the end of the day. So I like to keep everything similar, consistent through the entire prep. And if you're ready ahead of time, you shouldn't really need to cut water that much unless you have like some sort of water retention issue, or you're on your period or something like that too. But we have solutions for that as well.
Got it. Okay. Now, how about steady state or HIIT cardio?
Generally, I like they say better.
Yeah.
The HIIT cardio is not really feasible to be doing every day because it's like very too hard on your body and you're going to exhaust yourself. And I feel a lot of the time when you hit cardio, it like builds a lot of quads. Like I don't know, like you have like kind of like a sprinter look, more of like an athletic look instead of like the bikini look. It does work for some girls, but I definitely wouldn't be doing HIIT every day. I think that's not necessary. But I think for bodybuilding in general, consensus would be like a low intensity steady state cardio. I think that is the
Yeah, like low to moderate.
yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to
Heavy
be just be
plates
like so here's the thing too. We have some athletes who are like, yeah, like oh my god, like we have like I made fun of her once, but she's like, yeah, so we're like she's not losing weight or stuff too, and we're like, she's like yeah, so are you following your cardio? Yeah, like I walk outside every day with my dog for like half an hour. Like we're not doing mom cardio here. Like an overweight
A
mom
dog walk is not
around
cardio.
outside. Like that's not cardio. You got to be on a machine. You got to be setting it in.
It has to be intentional cardio, where you're going in with the intent to do cardio, to have your heart rate up, to burn fat, burn calories, not just like a leisurely walk, or like, you're walking, you're not even out of breath, or your heart rate's not up. If your heart rate's at like 100, it's not cardio.
So are you guys going for like heart rate and calorie goals, or are you just going for like,
Exactly.
okay.
We do a calorie goal, yeah.
So here's the thing. So I actually learned this probably a year into my coaching. I thought it was a great idea. I used to tell clients, okay, do half an hour of Stairmaster and stuff too. And that's not that's not realistic when you have so many athletes when you're coaching so many athletes, because some people do it slower, some people do it faster, some people have different machines and their calories. So we make them get like either an Apple Watch, or we have like other watches that we recommend where they can track their active calories. So some clients, I say, do 500 calories of cardio. It'll take them 2 hours, and some clients it'll take them 20 minutes. You understand? So it's definitely have to go. So we ask them. So I give them a calorie goal, and then their check-ins, they tell me what the calorie goal was, which is what I gave them, how long it took them to do, and what machine they were on. So we're able to justify. So let's say I give a client 600 calories of cardio, and I'm like, and for someone that's like 2 hours, let's say for someone that's generally like takes like 2 hours long, And one client's like not losing weight. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, because they're only doing 20 minutes of cardio. So I have to jump into like 1,500 calories of cardio, which is they're probably not burning 1,500 calories of cardio. Like it's impossible. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Based off the number, they're doing probably like 2 hours cardio or whatever. So we know everything that they're doing just in case, because it varies so much. You can't just give someone a time, or you can't just give someone a calorie thing. You should know the entire situation that you can assess, because it's different for everyone. And
Makes sense.
never look at the calories burned on the machines. It's very useless.
Definitely. I like that. Keep it consistent. So how about supplementation? What do you think is the best supplements for competitors, if any?
You're talking about like in general?
Yeah.
I think the staples will definitely be, you don't need protein powder, but everyone takes it just because it's like simple after your training, and it's like digests very easily and quickly after you're done training. But I think if you're on like a really budget intensive, and you need to like, you don't need pre-workout, you don't need stimulants, like stuff like that too. So if you're just basing it off a budget, I would say definitely like omega-3s, vitamins and minerals, and glutamine. Like those three I think are like the staple and maybe you could throw in EAs also. And
EAs, just for muscle retention.
Yeah, those are like the very like necessary ones. Like you should definitely have those 3 or 4. And then if you want to add on, then you can add on like fat burners and pre-workouts and crap like that. So
Okay, got it. And then last rapid fire question. Have you ever fired a client?
oh yeah, like every day. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Okay, first of all, they're hiring us, so I don't know how that would work. But yeah, I mean, kick them off our team.
Yes.
Very, very rare. Very rare, honestly. I think this happened like maybe 2 times where I'm just gonna give you a refund. One time I remember specifically, they were very rude to Angeline. I don't like that. So
it's more so if someone really disrespects
any
of the disrespectful. Or they just will not listen to anything, and it's just like we just really clash our personalities, which is very rare, because
very rare.
Even if they clash with one of our personalities, they're most likely going to get along with one of the other 3 of us. So it's like usually one of us, or at least me, can like get along with the client.
Here's the thing. If Jen doesn't like them, they're gone, because Jen is very reasonable.
I don't think I've ever not gotten along with a client though.
Oh, Jen, there's definitely like a couple of clients where you're like, oh my God, is this serious? I can't even believe this right now. Like very rare, and I'm like, wow, that's a red flag.
Yeah, so if someone is like really disrespectful and crosses the line with how they treat any of us, then that would kind of be grounds to say, you know what, like maybe it's not a good fit because you're just being disrespectful towards.
This has happened like a handful of times or less in like a few years. So I've had some times where I don't want to renew a client because if they really don't follow anything and they're just like kind of like throwing money away, I'm just like, dude, like you're wasting your money. Like there's no point. So I've had some times where I don't renew a client, but as far as just like kicking them off my team, unless they're extremely like rude and like even if they have an ego, I won't kick them off. But if they like, like
they have to do a lot to get kicked off.
They have to do a lot, honestly. Like we're very
or like if they're working, actually we had one thing one time where someone was working with another coach behind our back.
Oh.
And it was like they were kind of like taking advice from like 2 different coaches, and then we were like, well, you can't do that to be on a team, so something like that, where let's say they're either like redistributing the information that we give them to someone else, which would be like a breach of our contract with them. Mm-hmm. That would kind of be grounds for us terminating them as a client, but they hire us, so it's kind of like more like they'd be firing us.
Definitely.
That never happens, so we're good to go.
Yeah. It's very rare. Most of our clients we get along very well with, and we have good relationships with long term.
Okay, so like we're gonna wrap this up, but I have to ask where this whole like egg term came from.
No, it's
so random.
Next question.
It's a secret.
It's what?
It's a secret?
It's a secret.
No, it's not a secret. I'm going to tell you it's the stupidest.
It didn't mean anything.
No, it does. Did I ever even tell you guys? I think I told you guys, eh?
Wasn't it Sam?
Yeah, so it's the stupidest thing you've ever heard of in your life, okay? But I just first of all, for branding, it's excellent, okay? So that was very smart. So I turned nothing into something fantastic. So I have one client, he's like an immigrant from Greece, and he has like a very, very like thick Greek accent. And we were at the Toronto show in 2018, and I'm like, dude, can you like shave your beard or whatever? And he's like, no, I don't want to shave my beard. I can't believe I'm telling the story. Okay. So he told me he didn't want to shave anything. He says the year before, he felt he looked really good, and his coach made him shave his head and his beard. He's like, I was so ugly, I felt like an egg on stage. He's bald. I don't know. So then I was like, you look like an egg. So I just started dying laughing. We picture him like bald. And then I called like one other person like an egg, and then it's just like, I don't know, it just like stuck. And it just like, I call everyone eggs, and it became like a cute thing. Everyone's an egg. Well, not everyone. You gotta be on Team Atlas to be an egg. So, but as far as like, I don't know, it's kind of, it's just like an easy word to call like, you know, people are just like have like a kind of like a group thing. Cause like people want to be part of like a team dynamic type thing. And I don't necessarily like do it just for the marketing, because I actually like just using that word because it's just like simple, and it kind of like, when you say someone's an egg, everyone knows it's Team Atlas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
like,
very
it doesn't
true.
mean anything, but it kind of like just symbolizes like our team, like we're like, I don't know, together, and everyone's like, I want to be an egg. So
I think that's super cute, actually. I love it. And it says a lot about you guys and what your commitment is to your team as well. And I just think it's special and encapsulates a lot of what we talked about with taking that like team approach, the individual approach, and of course, making sure everyone's having this amazing experience. So I'm going to make sure that I put all of your guys' links in the show notes page, all your Instagram, your website, and also like your Mind Leader page, James, as well.
oh, thanks.
Yeah, of course. So if you guys have anything else you want me to add to that, I definitely will. But for everyone listening, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. Team Atlas will have their own category, and they'll also be in the coach series category. So you can always find it there. Of course, if you're listening to it the day of, it's going to be at the very top of that page. And if you're listening to it in the future, you'll have to refer to the category section or reach out and I'll send it to you. But James, Jen, Angeline, thank you guys so much for your time and all the insights you shared.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Of course.
Let me add one thing though. I know I'm saying that, but it's fake. It's fake news. I keep adding a lot of things. But I don't know if anyone's ever told you before. I listened to a couple of your podcasts, but now that I'm actually talking to you, you sound like Alexander Cooper from Call Her Daddy. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of that like 3 years ago. I don't know why.
That's so funny.
You have like the same voice, but not nearly as aggressive. So that's all.
That's hilarious. I literally just listened to part of one of her episodes like recently, and I was like, yeah, I didn't make a connection, but I'll have to go back and like listen.
So if you're a lot more vulgar, you can definitely take over that show and make a huge thing. So you already have a podcast. You're good to go. You're gonna make something.
Yes, my podcast is really blossom. I'm very grateful for it, and that's hilarious. I'll definitely run that.
The secret recipe is the voice. There it is.
It is. It's all in the voice.
It's all in the voice.
Well, thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, make sure you tag all of us in your main takeaways. If you have any extra questions, of course, you can direct it as well. And for all of you out there, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world, where you're